Sound check. 1, 2.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this one is going to be an awesome experience. I'm excited to hear this gentleman's story. We actually grew up together, so this is going to be a beautiful thing. I'm thankful for him to take his time out to be able to sit down with us and share his story. Before we get into that, I just want you guys to make sure that you subscribe, to tap in with Tristan. Also, make sure that y'all comment and like and share this content. And we're going to be having plenty more content, a lot of different people with different testimonies and stories from all walks of life, current athletes, former athletes. So make sure that you're hit that bell at the top, so that way you're getting the notifications of the new content. So with all that out the way, I'm gonna turn this thing over for a second to the man. This is Mr. Billy Kretz, class of 2000.
Happy to be here, Tristan, and anything for you. You know that. Anything for you.
Happy New Year, my man. Really appreciate it.
Happy New Year. Happy healthy year, and hopefully not as hectic. We'll use that term, I guess.
Use that term, man. It's been a year, man. So just very thankful to still be here, man. Give the family all my love, and again, look forward to learn some more stuff, man. So
miss you, definitely miss you, man.
Yeah, miss you too, boss, man, for sure. So this is gonna be cool. We catch up and then get to know you a little bit better. So let's start it from the very beginning. Let's talk a little bit about childhood, Billy Kretz. What we got?
Sports. That was growing up. That was every sport you can, dribble, run with, throw, whatever it may be. I mean, that's what it was. Growing up was always, whatever season it was is what our focus was on. It was really the off-season training, especially growing up. It was just on to the next season. Put your head down and play hard, and have fun.
Play hard. And which one did you feel like you gravitated to at an early age? Which ones did you feel like you was having not the most fun, but maybe you felt like you was the most advanced in, so you felt like this is my thing right now, if any?
To be honest, I do think it really was baseball. Obviously, basketball. I played soccer growing up, and I didn't play football till I got to high school. But that's what it was. It was a 4-season, sports for me, and growing up, and ultimately, basketball I ended up obviously taking a scholarship with, but that may have been my weakest skill set, use that term, especially, next level stuff. But overall, like I said, it was all about having fun and playing with your teammates and your friends and, and outworking the person across from you. And that was, like I said, that was instilled in me at a young age by my father, my family, and, never to give up, all those cliche stuff. That was the truth. I mean, that pushed me to be the best I could be, on and off the field.
That's a fact, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think from my memory, our very first encounter was in baseball.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember this?
I do. I
Definitely. I remember pieces of it because I think I caught the short end of the stick on it. Tell me.
I mean, listen. So growing up, obviously a lot of Amityville tradition, a lot of Amityville families and old time families, the Smiths, obviously, and the Kretzes and McDonoughs, etc. And some of the stories that I heard over the years, and it was a Paul Smith that my dad always spoke highly of, and oh man, one of the best athletes I've ever seen, and here or there, any sport he played, and he was good at this and good at that, but he was as good as anything in baseball. And I hear the stories, and that's what the reunions were about, and it was always the tales of old, and the Amityville tradition. And, I do believe, I don't even know if I was playing first base or short pitching. I don't know what it was, but
first. So
ground ball, I had to beat the batter to the bag. And lo and behold, there was a collision. The batter had the helmet on, and I didn't have the helmet on. I probably needed that helmet at the time. And, there you go. Hello, Tristan Smith. Meet Billy Kretz. And that was, and again, whether it was exaggerated or not, my dad says, I think he kind of looked on the other sideline, the foul pole, and saw your pops and said, "Welcome to the club, young man," or whatever it may be. But that's the old school tale.
So we had a collision at first base. That was our first encounter, and he knocked me out momentarily. I blacked out. I don't even remember if I was safe or out.
You know what? At that point, I don't even know if I held onto the ball. Who knows? I mean, after that, probably I learned how to slide into first base to make sure I don't have any collisions. But that to me was always a cool story. It really, and whether exaggerated or not, whether the collision was that crazy or not, I mean,
it was a
finally
crazy
shared that moment with us, and kind of they were old teammates, and lo and behold, we became the same thing years later. So it was really cool to see that and hear that.
Yeah, I'm glad I bounced back. So I had the helmet. He did it. And I played that long. So let's go into the early years because if I'm not mistaken, you didn't come to the middle school with
Yes.
us. You didn't come to. So tell us a little bit about that because there's kind of like a South Amityville and the North Amityville. So there's really like 2 in 1. So tell us a little bit about that part of it, and then we kind of tie that in.
Of course. So obviously, a tradition-rich family of mine, with a lot of deep roots in the village and the town and the schools. And so growing up, I mean, I went to St. Martin's from kindergarten through 8th grade, and that was a tradition. That was one of those things where you go to St. Martin's, you wear a uniform every day, and they still had nuns back then, and we I had a very, very positive experience. And believe me, I couldn't wait to get to the high school because that was the next step. That was the next tradition that was established. That go to St. Martin's and then you go to the high school, and that's what I couldn't wait to do. Especially when it got close to the opportunity that I was going to carry on.
For sure. And in St. Martin's, they did. Well, you was playing basketball with them too, right?
Yeah, we had CYO and
CYO. So let's talk a little bit about that because this is something that I'm not just Billy, not just Amityville, but I'm hearing this across Long Island that these were kind of what a lot of the players cut their teeth on. Where as you get a lot of the city guys, and even nowadays, there's a lot more AAU going on at an early age. So let's just talk a little bit about CYO because I think this is something that's important for people to know.
Well, CYO itself, I was coached by one of my best friends, still one of my best friends' father, Mr. Camarado, and my uncle Mike McDonough. Those are my first 2 coaches in basketball, and I happen to be one of the tallest, so and there's a lot of kids that were a lot shorter than me, so they got to handle the ball a lot. So needless to say, I didn't really develop, and I maybe still haven't developed the right ball handling skills at the age that I'm at now. But I was the rebounder, I was the hustler, I was the defender, and that's okay. I mean that was my job to play as hard as I could to help my team be successful, and whether it's setting a screen at the high block or turn around, on a 9-1 bucket or whatever it may have been, or put back on a rebound and diving for loose balls. And that's kind of the establishment, the foundation that's set for me, especially basketball wise, was defense wins championships and, smacking the ground like, many Duke haters out there, but I was a Duke fan growing up. Smack the ground, yell defense, and let's go. I mean, that's how it was. That was the foundation set by St. Martin's, and really the love for basketball started. And then obviously, the success of Amityville and the tradition of Amityville basketball, that was easy for me to dream about, playing for the high school team. And, we didn't break huddles, and it wasn't always St. Martin's. It was, we set Amityville out of our break at the CYO level. And for me, right there was a foundation, and the success we had on the court, the friendships we gained, and we always heard about these young kids that were pretty good too. So, maybe the hope was we could always link up one of these days.
That's a fact. So my dad was my first like real coach in uniform when I started playing in 6th grade. There was actually a gentleman, I think his name was Tom Kirby. Tom Kirby was he was my first one, but he was in between college. So when he went back, we had no coach. So my dad kind of took over in Nate Kelly. So very similar. I
remember, obviously, Nate. Obviously, yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm. So being one grade behind you, we were right there. So now we're kind of getting into, because St. Martin's and Amityville High School is kind of 2 different worlds, wouldn't you say? The
Yes. I mean, obviously, the Catholic traditions and things like that. We all have
and
our,
it's a different demographic overall. You know what I mean?
yes, yes,
For
yes.
that. So tell me about that transition because your personality works very well with saying a lot of different demographics. So just tell me that crossover. Did you feel prepared? Did you feel ready? Was you a little nervous, or you just felt like, hey man, this is it?
I mean, like you said, I mean, the foundation of my upbringing and my family and the way my parents and grandparents raised me, I knew that no matter what was in front of me, I could handle it. And you know, it was more, like I said, a tradition, and it became excitement because you know, um, in seventh grade we won a Long Island, I'm sorry, Suffolk County championship. And quick side note on that, we beat in one of the Suffolk County games, Tammy and Trent of
That's
San
tough.
Mauritius.
That's
Okay.
tough.
He dropped like 50 points on us, and we won like 53-51 or something crazy like that. And this is a true story because years later I bumped into him and we talked about it. And when we played the Empire games. And so, it was just quick, the quick small tidbits like that. I mean, we had so much fun playing basketball. And like I said, it was some of my lifelong best friends, and a lot of us actually transitioned and played at high school. Reggie Shore played with us, obviously, and he started on the CYO level.
Mhm.
Obviously, Tim Lamont, you're ahead of us. Obviously yourself and Eugene and Roderick and stuff. But the foundation, like I said, for success moving forward was CYO St. Martin's basketball, representing Amityville, and it was Amityville basketball, and that's really what spiraled. I believe our success is the roots that were set down, at young ages.
I think that's true. I think it definitely created. It was a pipeline. It was a sense of a farm system outside of the school system. Nobody was really getting any type of AAU. There wasn't that. There
No,
wasn't part of us.
no, and if there was, I mean, we didn't really.
You had to go search it out.
Yeah, we had to drive, yeah, go into the city or go out east or whatever it may be. I mean, until we really got to high school, you played, I guess, in eighth grade and ninth grade, we did something locally, and then we had some opportunities, but it wasn't the same. And we'll touch on high school eventually,
Yeah. I want to cross over to that high
but
school. Right
it
about
was the small town link, and that's really what kept the foundation and the tradition that we use moving forward. Because we all played together and we all wanted to be together and all wanted to win together, and it worked out. We all moved on to the next level in the high school level, and obviously we're successful thereafter.
I think that's what's phenomenal. Just inside of the town, there's a lot of talent. You know what I mean? And was you getting outside of your practices? Was you getting any formal like training or anything like that, or was it more just?
It was the street. It was the street. It was my neighbor's, basket that I just, whether it was snowing out, whether it was, raining, whether it was sunny out, whether it was barefoot, whether I had sneakers on, and it was me out there. It was me versus the elements, and that's really, it was 1-on-1 by myself. And I know you got a similar story. I'm sure you beat your father at a certain age and he stopped playing you. I mean, that's what it was too. I finally beat him at whatever age it was, and he never played me again, and that was it. And that was definitely by myself out there. It like I said, I didn't have that training. I mean, those are the skill sets that I tried to, besides getting what we needed to get, in the practice, gyms with our coaches at a young age in St. Martin's. Besides that, it was there. And then, eventually, we were able to go to like the John J. Burns, we'd go there, and, in high school we get to Bolden Mac. But I mean, it was just us, just owning our skills. And like I said, I mean, the seasons were short. The season ended, and I was on to the next, next sport. So that's what it was.
So as a multi-sport athlete, man, you had your hands in every sport. So whatever season it was in, you was going to really rock. And you see a lot of the youth now, they're picking one sport, at an early age. Some are even forced to pick a sport in certain states. I'm in Texas. In the Dallas in the DFW area, you're seeing that a lot at a very early age, and it kind of changed the way the course of their childhood goes.
Yes.
So very, very, very interesting the time, the different resources and the lack of resources in certain departments. But we love to play, so we played, and we love to play other sports, so we played, and I think that was an escape, and it was I wouldn't say it was an escape, it was an avenue to enhance our childhood. Is that fair to say?
We were just kids. We really, in a sense, that was what our families wanted for us. They wanted us to have fun run around and skin your knees and things like that. And I mean, unfortunately, the data is there different ways, but the multi-sport athlete, versus the individual sport athlete. I mean, yes, the exceptionals get to a certain point where you have to, but pressure that is put on a lot of these young kids, it's scary. Yeah, very young, very young. I mean, I married into a lacrosse family, and here in Long Island, it's a hotbed, and these one-dimensional parents, and I'm definitely not going to be that one. I'm not going to be the screamer on the sidelines. I can't quote that yet, but I've learned from that. I do see that. You give your children an opportunity to be successful in whatever they want to be, or whatever they want to do. And, you see a lot of parents put pressure on kids with spending money on the trainers and this and that. And sometimes the most important thing is lesson in life is them just being pure kids and just loving it for the love of the game, or the love of the sport, and loving of the competition, and the opportunity to be successful, but also yet to fail, and to learn from those failures, and to build up that true character. Life lessons, as you know.
It's lessons, yeah. It's important, and you get a lot of those in schools, man. You get a lot of those in schools. So let's go ahead and cross over into this 9th grade, man. We're done with St. Martin's. Now you're in Amityville. It's a whole different demographic. So in St. Martin's, you're gonna have a little bit, a whole lot more white, and then when you get to the high school, it's a lot more black. And a lot of the ones that went to junior high with us, they end up going into, they end up going into like St. Martin's and things of that nature. So I mean, not St. Martin's, but they'll go to other private schools.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say. So now you're in Amityville, man. Talk to me.
As mentioned, I mean, my cousins, some of my best friends all went to Catholic schools. What I knew, from the get-go, I knew that, I had a couple friends already there. Tim Lamar was a year older.
Shout out to Tim.
Neighbors of mine were there. Obviously, Timmy's brother Eric was up there, and what eased my transition overall was, I had played football my freshman year, and obviously we started August 14th, whatever it might have been back then, with Coach Lenny, the legend Lenny Patera, and spoke with him actually yesterday. And all's good with him. And so it was the transition, I think, of being already on the field with classmates, upperclassmen, which I ended up, playing for the varsity, and at the time being the backup quarterback and kicking extra points. And, hence the nickname Scarecrow. So I'll throw that out there. And that was my transition. It was competing. It was trying to, in the end of practice, trying to beat the seniors in the 40s, and did I succeed? Maybe once or twice, but there were some fast kids out there. And, like I said, it was the competition. It was, and I was the soaking wet 6'4.5", 6'5", 155 pounds probably that freshman year, whether those potatoes stuck or not. That's how it was. I went full steam, and really it was a bond that I gained, and the trust that I gained from the upperclassmen who looked out for me until they graduated, and really that was what was taught to me, firsthand, was you take care of the underclassmen, and that's what they did to me. And were there moments where they took their shots, of course, but that only just molded me to move forward and motivate me to be better and faster and stronger, whatever it may have been. But they did always look out for me, no matter what the circumstance was. And they, if I was unsuccessful with something, they the leadership was there to keep your head up and keep moving forward type things.
Yeah, so I think that's valid. Like in Amityville, like you said, there's a ton of athletes with a lot of different personalities, man. So inside of there's going to have to be a sense of some thick skin. There's going to have to be some thick skin. There's going to be some growing pains, because there are some guys that are just naturally really, really good. And
of course.
I mean, that's really Indian everywhere. But what happened 9th grade for basketball? What was you on JV? Would you play varsity?
JV. Played with yourself. You in 8th grade, and
so he was on the team. He was cooking.
We had a pretty, I believe we lost to Wyandanch once. I think that was the only loss we had, if I'm not at home, I think.
I didn't play all of the games. I came up maybe like after like game number 6 or something like that, because I wanted to play 5 games in junior high.
Okay, all right, yeah. So maybe you're right. I remember that, and We had Mr. Mullen, Coach Mullen. I still, like I said, another set of foundation for us. It was the little things that go a long way. And he'd cut kids if they did a layup wrong, but like I said, he set a foundation once again, or carried out that foundation of what it was to be successful. The hard work pays off type of thing, and being coachable and things like that. And he saw that we could be successful by playing tough D and executing offensively and doing little things correct. And it worked. I mean, it really did. And we had a pretty damn good JV team. I mean, and luckily too, I mean, the varsity was stacked too. I mean, they made up state that year, and I got an opportunity to sit on that bench, and unfortunately lost. But that was that first taste of real success, or I should say, first blood that I couldn't wait to get a chance to get back up there.
So now we're going into 10th grade. Now we're going to 10th grade. What's your thought process? You know what I'm saying? Are you still playing for fun? Are you looking at maybe the possible next level? Well, is this crossing your mind? Is there feeling any pressure? Because again, you come from a long line of athletes, a nice tradition. Was there any pressure put on you by yourself or from family? Unspoken to like, yo, let's get this done, dude. We got some good things going on. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me about that, because we get it. There's a lot of stuff going, a lot of moving parts, and there's some of the things that we on the outside don't know.
Yeah. So obviously, is the pressure there? Of course. I mean, people want you to be successful. The ones closest to you, your family, and that our fathers, the competitive spirits they were too. Big shoes to fill, no matter what. I mean, that senior class, my freshman year, I mean, you had Wake Forest they were going to, and St. John's, and all different sports, multi-sport athletes to boot. I mean, we had big shoes to fill. So me, especially on the basketball field, basketball court, there were some big shoes to fill, with Oliver Hankson graduating, and Eric Lamont, and Boyd O'Kelly, and Teron Carper. I mean, those were legends. And we looked up to them. And that was the same thing on the football and the baseball field. I mean, they all played 3 sports or 2 sports. And, that was really what it was. It was that next step was, all right, now it's me. I got to just put my head down and, keep grinding. And, I really wasn't thinking about next level. Of course you have dreams of this, or that, but like I've said, as a young kid, I just played to play. I played to have fun, and obviously hope to be successful. But that was the challenge, is that, you go out there every day, you work hard, and in the long run, you come out successful, and it makes it much more worth it.
So it sounded like you was doing a pretty good job of just kind of staying in the moment. And that's a pretty cool thing that some of these kids don't, because of the outside pressure. And then also in today's age, everything is visible. You know what I mean? So it's really difficult to just really enjoy the moment. It's always kind of a next thing up, or you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you have a good moment, you have people publicly cutting you down because of whatever. And it could be a full stranger to change everything. So it's a little bit different. It's a lot different, actually. So
it's a big difference. The instant gratification that the kids have today, and our own kids, obviously too, and student athletes that I have in high school now. But, with social media, with this, with that, I mean, it's a big difference. It's a big challenge, because, we all went through our, and you guys talked about with Eric about confidence, and I'm sure we'll touch base on that as it goes. But, kids' confidence, can be, really questioned, and momentarily, just by reading a quick tweet, or seeing something written about them. And geez, thank God.
It's like that. We're seeing some of the young pro athletes have that shift out. And you see people that don't have a real tie to sports, like, they don't completely understand. If you got a family situation, or you got somebody, like, that can change how you operate. It may not, you know what I'm saying? Like some people are not rock solid, and they haven't developed those skills to be like, it doesn't matter regardless. Sometimes that takes years to really hone that skill set. I can attest to that, and I'm sure that you can too. But it's different. It's a different era going back 20 years, just because of the social media and all of the different resources that they have.
the exposure, et cetera. And, you know, and going back to that foundation, I mean, you know, we had to have thick skin. I know from my father, I had to have, you know, thick skin and you know, and that's okay because that motivated me. And, you know, yes, of course we go through our, you know, ebb and flow or ups and downs and, you know, but, you know, confidence was something that, you know, I tried to maintain because no matter what, I always felt that hard work will pay off. And if I outwork the person across from me and, you know, I push my teammates to be, you know, to be better and make myself better, you know, in the long run, we're going to be successful. And like I said, those little teaching moments, those life lessons, you know, I kept that motivating me, you know, as time went on.
And to piggyback what you're saying, as your teammate, you's one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen in any level. Yeah,
Appreciate
you
that. I
definitely.
really do.
Nah,
100%.
and that's a fact. No, it's a fact. Like, you know, some guys will dog it. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't really want to do this part. I don't really want to do that part. I don't want to do this part of practice. Not in this sport. And I've been there. You know, I really don't want to do that. There was never any of those days for you. It was rain. You out there kicking. If you know what I'm saying, you out there clapping it up, bringing the guys in, doing whatever you can to try to keep the spirit and energy up, and then you also showed it with your action. I mean, diving on the floor, you're like, coach, I don't want to dive on the floor. You got all the burn marks in your practice uniform because you
Yeah,
diving.
we were bony, man. You and me were bony, man, back then. So there was some sharp elbows hitting that floor and knees and
So
whatever.
it was like you took on that and you embraced that, and that's something to be admired. It didn't matter if it was game action or practice. That was something that you did, man. That's just kind of like your effort and your communication. This is something that I tell the kids that I deal with should come with you like your skin on your body, and that was something that you actually did.
Yeah.
When you showed up, communication and effort was there, and it was never in
I always try to lead by example. And as mentioned, is that, you know, I always try to outwork the guy across from me, my opponent, and push my teammates and things like that. And you know, and listen, when you're winning, it's fun. And we were very successful and it helped out, obviously. But, you know, with those,
Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about that, man. We're crossing over into 11th grade. Your 11th grade, my 10th grade year. That was tough because we was really good, man. I think that
we were good. And I still think we didn't know our full potential until it was gone. That makes sense.
Until the seniors was like, that's it for us, and we had an opportunity to upset the top team in the state, and they end up going on and win it. And I think we fumbled the bag. We fumbled the bag in that one for sure. And it was a life lesson for me, but you can speak on it.
Well, again, you know, doing it for the seniors in my junior year. And again, you can quote me if I'm wrong here, but I remember you being highly upset after that game, if I'm not mistaken. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was Roderick. I'm not sure, but in the locker room there was something about we're not going to let this happen to the seniors. And again, it was a tense moment. If it wasn't you, I apologize. But you know, to see the seniors, the feeling that they had physically, obviously, to see the emotions, you know, flowing literally, and you know, I think that was really a turning point. I know for myself, and I do feel for all of us as a as a team, and really just not just on the basketball court. I think overall we turned the page on that moment because we saw the sorrow, we saw the loss, how it affected, you know, kids that we looked up to, that we were friends with, that that we grew up with, and I do believe that motivated us even further to not let that happen to us. And lo and behold, I mean, it happened. And maybe you can't write a perfect story, but that's as darn near close to a perfect, and
let's talk about it.
I got one shot and you got those two extra ones. And man, I think we took
10th grade year. My 10th grade year, we had some really good seniors on both the football and the basketball team. And this is his junior year. He was my quarterback. And usually the upperclassmen they hold the mantle at most schools, and Amityville as well. It's going to take something real, I guess you can say historic. It's going to take something very special to surpass that. So early in the season, I don't think that the football they wasn't quite utilizing me and Antoine a lot. as
Mm.
much. You know what I mean? And then they started utilizing us a little bit more into the game plan, and it was galvanizing. It was galvanizing the team. Everybody was playing well, not just us too, but everybody was playing well. And we started making that comeback, but we fell a little bit short. Basketball, it was like, man, I think we got something nice here. We got something nice here, but I don't think we knew how good until we got into the playoffs. We beat Harbor Fields, and it's like, okay, uh, we can do this. We felt very confident going into this game, man, and we ended up losing to Southampton. And we seen that senior class not really go to that Stony Brook. And Stony Brook is a benchmark for going with Amityville basketball. So, like you said, it was like, nah, we can't have this happen. So let's fast forward to the senior year. Your senior year, my junior year was a historic year at Amityville. Talk about it, starting with a little bit of football.
Uh,
What's your thought process going into this year?
I guess no matter what, I think we all couldn't wait to see
I
what's
agree. I agree.
and again, to write a story, to write something that, we've always heard about through our family members and local guys, whether it's in the neighborhood or family friends of tradition of championships and tradition of winning and success, all the things that breed, really Amityville football, and then obviously Amityville basketball. And it was our turn going into our senior year. We I tell you what, Huntington and Comstock were probably the two most talented teams we had to face in the 4 years of my varsity career of
They were
football.
big time, dude. They were big time.
They were huge.
Sayville, my sophomore year.
Okay, all right. So again, backtrack.
Bro,
Sable.
they were some grown men, and they had. I will never let Diva Noodle down for putting me at tight end during that game. I'll never forgive him.
Listen, I mean that's
I couldn't get off the line. I couldn't get off the line against him.
That Sayville team. I mean, they were as talented. Well, even my freshman year, we lost to North Bab. I mean, that was North Bab, like Ian Smart and Adam Ferrari, and Barry Baker was a sophomore that year. And I mean, it was we saw on the Division III level some top talent that were Division I kids, high Division II kids that were just football kids, and that were physically just gifted athletes, but also physically appealing. Whereas, I mean, the size, your size. I mean, and me and you, as mentioned, I mean, luckily, you were faster than me, but luckily you can run away from a lot of these tackles, because there were some big guys that hit us. I tell you that.
So yeah, we in your senior year. I'm wide receiver, your quarterback, and we gotta. But I think they had us maybe like third or fourth going into that year.
Yeah, so we lost 2 regular season games, highly contested games. We had our ups and downs. I think we had to get in the playoffs because only the top 4 teams, Division III, get in, and we had to a missed field or a blocked field goal by Jermaine Bird in the Kings Park game, I think, put us in the playoffs. And we had to go to Comstock, who beat us in a close contest that year. My junior year, your sophomore year, we lost them in the playoffs. Kevin Cassis led quarterback team that, another all-world athlete, that we played against. And, we beat Comstock in a really tough, hard-fought game. And on to Huntington, who had 3 top Division I kids that we were going up against. We stuck to our game plan, and we really we made enough plays, we made enough stops, and it started to really like say, hey, we can win this game. Many moments during that game, and
we're gonna win this. We're gonna get this.
We pulled it out, and I do have to say there was a lot of tense moments in those huddles. Dealing with multiple personalities. I'm not naming everybody, but you know what I'm talking about, and. We got the job done. I mean, I think that was the pure beauty of it, was that, and we touched on it before about, multicultural and multi-ethnicities and that Amityville does have. I mean, you look around that huddle, all the nationalities and all the culture and everything you put your finger on of what a multicultural team is. And that's what it was. I mean, we were together like brothers, and we were brothers, and we got the job done.
For sure. That's for sure. And you can say it like every play I wanted you to throw me the ball. Captain my
after a while,
I always felt like I had a mismatch. I'm playing against Curtis Williams, who's going to Maryland. I'm like, I got him.
Slant of fate. I mean, listen. I mean, it was either a tap the head or I tapped my hip, and I forget what the slant.
I'm ready. Don't read a ball.
The slant was the hip, I think, and the fly was the helmet. And listen, once in a while, yes, we did it. And maybe we should have did it more often. But it was very.
We had a traditional offense, and we had an all-world running back. Shout out to Eugene Nottingham.
Wing T, but we had Eugene Nottingham, and no matter what, at the end of the day, I got to hand the ball off to him, and still to this day, handing the ball off to him and getting an opportunity to throw it to you was definitely a highlight of my athletic career because obviously what good people you are and good friends you are of mine, but man, were you guys good. I was very lucky to play with you guys. I really was blessed with that opportunity.
Likewise, when you left, they had to move me to quarterback. So that was a big hole that you left, bro. So I mean, now we win, and then now we're in the Long Island Championship, Garden City. A lot of crazy stuff, but we end up.
We got it done. I mean, that might have been the worst kick. And I kicked also, as you know, and one of the worst probably kicking games. We had to change the turf shoes, and it's not an excuse, but I was wearing kicking high tops. I was kicking like basketball sneakers, and Eugene was rocking his Jordans, and I had these Nike turf high tops with the.
I had on dunks. I had on. Nike dunks because they matched my uniform.
Well, that's right. You and Eugene had the Jordans that I had these turf shoes on, and like I said, it was a wet, cold, kind of like today here in New York, and it just was chilling, and we didn't play well. But we made enough plays. I mean, one of the last punts I had, I punted down the field and pinned him, and I had a touchdown throw to Eugene, and he had made a great catch, and it's just obviously Rose and.
But we changed.
It's all that matters. No matter what, you point up and say, "Listen, we did everything we needed to do to get the job done," and that's where that's really where what started my senior year and how special it was, and that was I wrote my story, and to be honest, if that was all I did to my senior year, I was happy. But guess what? It was basketball season.
Going into basketball season, what's the thought process?
We're it. I mean, there's no doubt because of what we had, suffered the year before, and the three of us, because of being the multi-sport athlete, we were on to the next one, and I believe we carried that success and confidence and camaraderie, whatever it may have been, to say that we can do this together, not individually, but together.
I don't know if you remember, but was it our team that went in scrimmage? It was our team that went in scrimmage. Christ the King.
Yeah, Omar Cook telling me he was an All-American. That was a great experience.
But at the same time, like this is kind of new for us because we always wanted to play against some of these guys. So we went out to their school. We didn't really keep score, man, but we was right there.
We played.
I think that they had like four had an All-American, and they had 4 Division I players. And that really boosted up our confidence, even off the backs of that. If I'm not mistaken, you can say.
We had the opportunity to go up against the best, and
we right there with them.
And we were right there with them. And you're right. I mean, we had the confidence already, but I think we needed to prove it to ourselves ultimately because we had kids that were All-Americans that were going to Ohio State, etc. And that was a great experience. That was a cool experience. I mean, and as confident as the opponent was, telling me he's an All-American while I guard him, I'm like, well, congratulations. I mean, I'm still trying to beat you, and that was our stick.
It's not going to be easy. And
we didn't back down.
I sat down with Eric Ferguson and we talked about the game Fred Williams, and it was triple overtime. I want to say he had 44, but you had 38.
Yes, and I did find that tape, so we're gonna make that.
We got to get that out.
No, I have the tape. I have the video. I have the VHS. I'm just gonna have to transfer, that sort of. But please let him know because it was. I got to be honest. It was really cool listening to him, speak because, we touched on the Panthers and I jumped on, after really our basketball season. We jumped on that spring. And, 2 cool stories with that are, I was very lucky and very happy to be a part of that. And, we got some nice, Adidas gear and things like that. And, there was a tournament I do remember, and me and Eric were up in, I guess we were up in Brown, Rhode Island, and we were really, really doing a great job scoring the ball. We were winning. We actually made it to a championship. The coach's name is escaping me. That was coaching at the time. And then, Gary Charles shows up, and I get no burn. I'm like, me and Eric were the backcourt mates, and then all of a sudden I get shipped to the bench, and that was a fun moment. And again, I get it, and but the ISH store was my favorite because if I'm not mistaken, I maybe I played a minute or two, who knows, and I didn't care the talent that was there. I was having a blast, and this is the scary thought, is that I don't know if you remember, because I had my grandmother's car. We drove into Queens. Jason had to sit in the front, and he definitely didn't fit in that car in the front, no matter what. And you sat in the back. So we drove in. It was that red Toyota, and you guys spoke on those championship trophies, and they were like 5-foot trophies, and we had to take them apart to put them in the trunk to get them home. That's how big these trophies were. And quick story: my father made a lampshade out of it as a joke for the garage. I mean, they were so big that but it was so cool that we just won the ISA championship. And that was a really cool experience for me to have. And the names you guys were dropping that we were playing against, I mean, they were your future teammates at St. John's, a lot of them, and things like that. And, it was a cool experience. It really was. And for me to be a part of that was really, really special. And, and like I said, Eric did have a good game that game. I remember that, and he was, and we talked about as talented as an athlete that we played against. He was that, he really was.
So this is the type of stuff that, because our paths cross, you know what I mean? Everybody has their own individual story, but there's going to be parts of it where it cross. I'm going to bring you up to this moment, man. And I think this was the biggest moment as your teammate that I've seen. And let's see how you feel about it. Because I remember the picture. I remember the picture with you hugging your mom.
Yeah.
I remember that picture. Westbury. This is our opportunity to go upstate. We just beat a really, really good team in Kings Park. I feel like they had the potential to win everything as well. So they were very good, and we stopped them. Westbury. I did not play very good at all. And you carried us. You carried us offensively, but you carried us with that will. This is not going to be my last game. I had a pretty decent floor game, but offensively, this wasn't very good. And I'm like, we started controlling the game, towards the middle of that third quarter, but I can feel your presence like, this ain't it. This is not my last game. I'm sticking to my mentality that we're going all the way. Tell me just a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about the upstate run.
You brought up the picture with my mother. It was not a black and white photo. It was a color photo in Newsday of me hugging my mom and in the Amityville crowd, and my grandmother. Both my grandmothers were in that picture. I mean, for me, it was my little cousin was in it. My uncles were in it. And local families, and it was, for me, it was special because as is that how big of a family I have, but also how special I hold my family and how close I am with my family. And obviously with my mother, how special it was to have that moment with my mother, because, she still swears she's never seen me throw a pass in my high school career, because she always looked away when I had the ball. But she saw the basketball games, and that for me was very special, a very special moment for me and my family. And, that will that you're talking about, I mean, like I said, that's the foundation that was set, is that, I don't want to feel the way those seniors felt the year prior. I thought that, I don't want to use the term destiny, because I do believe we earned every moment that we shared together. And
we put in the time. We played our part in it for sure.
Yes.
We let that moment go by without us fighting.
We all did, and we did it together. And as you mentioned, is that I don't remember you having a terrible game. I never thought you did. And
they had like 6
points. We had each other's back, and that's
that's what I'm trying to say.
Through the adversity and whether it's a small, whether your shot's not falling, you're missing a layup here or there, and we knew that we were never out of a ball game. I think we were down 20 points my senior year at Winance, one of the Winance tournament games, and at halftime we came out and blitzed them, literally, me, you, and Eugene in the front court, and pressed them, and I think we ended up winning that game by like 20 or 30. So I mean, we were never too out of a game. we didn't play ourselves out of any games. We were always right there to be able to impact it. And that Westbury game was special because obviously the last game I ever played in Long Island until college, obviously. And then, ultimately I didn't want that to be my last opportunity. And, and I hit a couple shots, I know, late in the game and that's it. That's the way it works out.
Nah, I'm going. You're being modest. You was cooking. You carried us, man. You was clearly the MVP of that run. Then we go upstate, and we get it done.
That was cool.
You are the captain of the first in our school history public school championship. The captain of our team, all tournament. What does that feel like, dude? Like you went from Long Island, the first as a captain for the football championship in Amityville history. A lot of names we can throw out there. And then you're the first as a captain, as a contributor, all Long Island player of the basketball championship, New York State. What is that?
It was pretty cool. I got to admit, I still told to this day how much fun everybody upstate had those 2 weekends. How much fun celebrating, our victory. We obviously celebrate ourselves going out, as a team after each win and things like that. But I mean, just the experience in the community. I do feel that we were a part of growing up and to have my senior year, be the apex of what our two sports were, to win the Long Island Championship, the first ever, and obviously the state championship in basketball, the first ever. And that for me was something that not necessarily owed to the community, and maybe I did because they are what made me, and they motivated me. My family, my friends, my teammates, and that's what motivated me, because it wasn't just my moment. It wasn't just your moment. It was everybody's moment, because everybody really looked up to, the successes, what we did on and off the court and or the field. And it was pretty darn cool, Tristan. And I'm happy that you were along for the ride. And I know you remember those moments, and you had your own, moving forward, the next year. And like I said, I will never look back on that moment and say there's anything negative about it, because ultimately, obviously, to be honest, I don't think I ever was even the next level, and I ended up playing obviously a couple sports in college, but I kind of knew that I would never reach that zenith again. I really didn't think that. I think that was as high as my athletic career would ever be. I mean, that was a more realistic approach. Obviously
you're being realistic when a lot of guys are being delusional. You're like, man, I think I might have tapped close to my ceiling of what I can get out of this thing.
You know what? I really did, honestly. I felt that, because ultimately I knew that, I knew the talent that we had. I knew that, nothing was given next level. Nothing was given next level. But I knew that every moment that I experienced at the high school level, as you said, and as I know, is that I gave it all I got. And I was spent. I physically and mentally was spent. I go, that's it. I did everything that I could have dreamed of as a young Amityville kid. And that was my story. And that was the cool part about it, is that, the lasting memories that I have, the lasting friendships that I have, that obviously, you and I still hold today. And, and that to me was the special bond and the special moment, because that's what sports is about. That's what us as young kids growing up dreamed to be, be doing. And we accomplished that. And, like I said, I was whole. I really did feel that at the moment, and you look back on it, over 20 years later, and you're like, I can't believe that actually happened, to be honest, and we were very lucky. We were very, very lucky.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, like, of course, it's a distant past now, but to revisit it is cool, and hopefully it can help somebody else. Like, we got other things to be locked in on, especially in the midst of the world that we live in today, but it's really cool to say that we was a part of that. So moving forward, let's touch a little bit on the college years, man. How'd that go? Where do we go? What do we do?
All right. So as mentioned, I was playing a little bit with the Panthers after my senior year of basketball, and actually was playing baseball at the same time, and pitching once a week, and going on to some tournament or clinic or whatever it may have been for exposure camps and clinics. And I don't know if I was the Division I athlete. I remember sending, VHS tapes out, and Coach Ag obviously, helped me out with that, and, recording and things like that. And,
You wanted to play basketball? Like, is that of the three sports? What did you have a preference?
Basketball was definitely my love. That was an easy love. I mean, that's just something naturally that, as mentioned, you could pick up your own basketball and go dribble and shoot outside. I mean, that was an easy love for me. And
End up playing basketball, correct?
yeah, playing basketball. Obviously, as much as I love football, and obviously I love baseball, and that was really my first love was baseball.
Did you have any looks in baseball?
Well, yeah. So when I was going through the whole process, I mean, because of our lack of, term success as a team.
Baseball was a little tougher in Amityville, man, because we had the athletes, but a lot of the athletes were running track, and then also such guys like myself, really good baseball player growing up. Once you kind of get to those middle school years, you usually start picking basketball and football. So some of the top talent are playing other sports, and baseball is not one that you could just come back to. They start throwing curveballs and everything like that. So at that time, it was a little bit tougher, and we didn't have the success that we probably could have had.
Yes, and as mentioned, is that maybe the exposure wasn't there for me, and should I have maybe stuck with baseball, and I had the opportunity to play a little baseball my freshman year up at Southern Connecticut, where obviously I ended up going there for a basketball scholarship, and I whether I was a D2 athlete in basketball, that's obviously always up in the air, but I wanted to play basketball. I had the opportunity. I had a scholarship, and I was very proud of that, and I was very excited for that. And the opportunity was there, and especially to play baseball, in the off season too, was there, and I accepted that challenge. I really did, and I was excited. That was the next 4-year chapter post grad. And that really, to me, besides my high school experience, obviously, that shaped me as a man. My 4 years at Southern Connecticut.
Absolutely. So Southern Connecticut. Now, after Southern Connecticut, you start getting into coaching. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to tie in. We're going to tie in where you're currently at. Ask a couple questions and wrap this thing up.
Okay. So yeah, I over the summer, May of '04, I graduated, and I got a phone call from Frank DiMenuto. Billy, you want to come and coach a JV football? And at the time, I was a business major, but I kind of had a feeling I didn't want to do that route that I graduated with, the marketing degree in the city. And I went on some interviews in the city in middle of summer and sweating my tail off, and middle of like a wool suit in the subway, and literally having to dry off my shirt in the bathroom of the interview. Don't get me started. Anyway, so it was not me. In the middle of that, I was already lifeguard at the ocean, and whether I had that epiphany or not, but coaching, it was calling, and that led me to go back to school and get my degree and master's in teaching. And then since fall of 2004, I've been at some capacity of coaching a high school sport since then, and I never looked back. I love what it is and what it's about, and the purity of it, and the simple opportunity that was there. I took it, and if I could give half the experience that I gave, that I was given by my coaches in my high school experience, then I would find myself a success, because the life lessons and life bonds that I experienced, it's those life lessons that I try to instill in these young kids, daily.
So you went in as a JV coach, and let's tell the people, man, you're the varsity coach. When did that happen? And did that take you by surprise, or do you feel like you was prepared for that thing, or you was like, I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm gonna give everything I got, just like all our boys have?
Like you said, I've been doing JV basketball. JV football, and helping out with the varsity program, and I did some JV basketball in the meantime. And my cousin and my brother were in their junior and senior years of sports, and took a step back. Still coach basketball, but took a step back. And eventually the opportunity in 2014 to become the head varsity football coach at Amityville was presented. And ultimately, at the time, I had been working in Massapequa, had gotten, budget cuts and I had gotten laid off. And, I had become a new teacher in Amityville. The timing was right. And as mentioned I put my head down. I was hired 5 days before the season started. And
That's
now,
crazy.
and we had many conversations back then. It's an all year round thing for us, in every sport really. But with football, they take over 5 days before the season, and I felt bad for the seniors because they were used to something, and obviously the new guy coming in, and I did my best to represent them and to give them the best experience they had. But that was definitely a learning experience. Dealing with coaching staff I never coached with, and guys I just met, and kids I literally met 5 days before the season. But like I said, I did my best. I didn't cut corners, and to this day, I don't cut corners. I believe in hard work and dedication and being true to myself and the people around me. And since then, that's really what that I've been trying to establish here in Amityville. And although just to backtrack, it has been not as successful as on the field as I would have liked. I am proud of the moments off the field where the young men that I've helped shape their future. And whether it's a college degree, college level players, or just the life lessons, whether them as young adults, hopefully learn from me from their opportunity experience with me.
It's fascinating because very, very, very seldom do you hear someone that actually went to the school and also had success at the school become a coach at the school. So do you feel a different type of pressure because now you're the guy coaching the guys?
Yes.
Do you feel a pressure from the community? And to be frank, most of our athletes are young black athletes, especially in the football and the basketball program as a whole. Football, we get a little bit more of a mix. How has that element been with you being from the other side? We in the same huddle to now you're calling the huddle. Big difference, little difference.
The just to say the game changed a little bit. Obviously we ran the wing T, which was
Everything's spread out now.
everything's different. Just think about how much fun we would have had in a spread system. So that was the experience for me is stepping into that. And I was a wing T guy, and having a coach now this spread system was new to me. And I tell you what, I embraced it. I did the best I could with it. And I still to this day, I really do believe in this spread system. The opportunity to spread the ball out and let our athletes make plays. And stepping into that role, I don't necessarily think it was any particular pressure, but I am, as one of the most competitive people around, and I don't like losing. And anything it takes, doing it the right way, obviously, to be successful, I'm going to do. And I think it's the pressure I've put on myself. The stress that I've had, and the gray in my chin that you've seen, get more and more as the years go by. And luckily this stayed. But and as you mentioned, dealing with the young men and that I've coached, I don't necessarily think that it's ever been a challenge. I'll use that term because it's who I am. I'm going to relate to anybody. I'm going to relate to, no matter what they look like or where they come from. These are young men, and yes, once in a while when there was a moment where the kid was like, Kretz, you went to Amityville? I'm like, guys, I went here. I sat in the same. So we've had those moments where, whether it's a street cred that they're looking for in me or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes you got to put on saying point to the banner, point to the banner.
And that's what it is. But like I said, it's been an easy transition to come back home. And I obviously never left. And I'm still here, and I love what I do. I love the student athletes that I deal with on a daily basis, and and to touch base on the times we're in right now. This is by far probably one of the most stressful seasons, or lack thereof season, we're having right now, because especially for myself and yourself at the high school level, we had special senior years and special years that God only imagine where I'd be right now if I didn't have those special moments. And I have real, a real tough time just trying to relate to these kids because I cannot imagine. And I try my best, obviously, on a daily basis and in general. But it's trying times for a lot of people, and obviously a lot of people, unfortunately, have not stayed healthy through this all, and whether it's economically they've been suffering and things like that. But through it all, you preach, especially as the adult and as the coach, you preach life lessons, and what we learned is life lessons. And the old cliches of hard work pays off, and how do you respond from adversity, and how is it going to respond from adversity? It's not about just getting up; it's how you're going to respond after you get up. And these young men are experiencing these life lessons all too quickly, as young men. And my thoughts and prayers go out to them because their foundation has been changed by this past year or so. And I feel terrible. I really do. I wish I could do more. I really do wish I could.
So much out of our control right now. There's so many gray areas and restrictions and so many unknowns that there's very limited. We're very limited in what we can even say or do. So I definitely am prayerful to all of the young athletes that are not going to be able to get this time back. There's really no way that you can really give them time back with these latter years of their career. And I'm really hopeful and look forward to you guys actually hopefully getting back on the field and you getting an opportunity to use the skills that you've learned along with your coaching staff to pour into these kids. And hopefully we can turn this thing around off the field as well as even on the field to where there's a correlation to where we're getting a nice boom, and there'll be a good representation of you, man, because I know the work that you put in and everything.
So, thank you. I appreciate that.
I know how it works. There's a lot of moving parts, in football, a lot of moving parts of you catching everything on the fly. So not easy. So before I let you go, man, I'm going to ask you, what do you feel like in your sports career was your biggest what if? If I would have did this, if I would have said that, if you had any.
What if, could have been, what if I stuck out with baseball? What if I went and played football in college?
You're a really good kicker too. You're a really good kicker and punter.
What if I kicked?
I always thought that was your bet. You was a really good kicker and punter.
I was supposed to go to some camp that, my junior year into my senior year that had some college coaches at, and there was a scholarship given to Ohio State that year out of that camp. And
that's one of your
that would have been very different, and I'm not going to mention the pro, but he's still kicking right now. But obviously life would be very different. And listen, I obviously made a choice, and I wanted to play basketball. I played baseball and stuff like that. But at the time, hindsight, I didn't want to kick. Even though now, man, a kicker's got some life. You work out all day and you just kick by yourself all day, and you social distance anyway all day. So, it definitely, like I said, if that's a what if, that's more of just a funny story to tell. But that's really it. And me, I put my head down and try my best at everything. So, there are no regrets there.
Biggest and best moment. I think we touched upon it. Which one comes out the most?
I definitely think the Long Island Championship. That term, if you build it, they will come. That crowd at Hofstra was the biggest crowd I ever played. Again, Garden City side was packed. Our side was packed. We were on the home side, and
people from all the eras, like
all the eras. I mean, it was just
coming from out of town.
Just looking up at that crowd, especially post game if we won. There were two voices as boisterous as the crowd on both sides were. There was two voices I heard in the crowd. It was obviously Coach Matera, Coach Lenny, and his voice, and my dad. My dad's up, in the boondocks somewhere, and I hear him. Word for word, whether it's give it the bird or whatever it may be, other choice words, but it's just that was the moment it was surreal to me because it was something I always had heard about, Amityville football championships and those games that were played and the victories, and that was it right there. I mean, that really put a staple on my dreams, especially on the football side of the field, and that was pretty cool. It really was.
Well, I was glad to be along for the ride. Now, But we're gonna wrap this thing up. Give me in a short sentence paragraph, Amityville sports.
Tradition, family. Those two words definitely are things that stand out no matter what. And, you know, that's what it's about. I mean, to this day, the tradition and the family atmosphere that you have here. And that's it. I mean, you can't say much more than that.
Facts. Then let's wrap this up. Billy Kretz. Describe this gentleman that's sitting in front of me right now. What's he about?
Okay. I'd like to hope to be genuine and trustworthy and and no matter what, I'm someone that, will always have your back, as yourself. And that's something that, that we all learn as we grow up, is that our circle, sometimes, shrinks as we get older, but, it's something that I hold true for yourself. And, I obviously appreciate you having me on, and but this is something that I'm proud of you for what you're doing out west and the Southwest, and bringing me on here, because this is something you can't make up. I mean, the love that we definitely have, the bonds that we have, and the love that we have for each other, respect that we have for each other, and I generally told you before, I miss you, I really do. And and this is to me what sports is about. This is to me what life is about, because of these relationships that we gained from a young age. And here I am already. My wife's planning my 40th, and I'm like turning 40, and here we are, zooming, and talking about the old times, and those are wonderful times, and those are moments that we shared, and I'm very blessed to have those moments, because you are in those moments with me, with all those ups and downs, and obviously epitomizing my senior year, and and you've been there, as years have passed, on different moments in my life, and just want to tell you I appreciate you, and I'm happy to be a part of this series you got going on.
This is beautiful, man. This is the type of stuff that we want, man. And it's not so much about us. It's not
Of
about us.
course.
It's more about the people that are a part of this. Sometimes it is when we speak that brings forth healing from different things for that people have. You and I both know that, but mainly for the up and coming. So give some of the youth athletes, male and female, give them some words from Billy Kretz.
uh, Definitely keep working.
Yeah.
Try your best to be the best you can at what you do, and to be honest, that goes in the classroom, and off, whether how you represent your family and your community and yourself, and especially today with there's cameras everywhere, just to make sure that you do the right thing always, because and we talked about the difference. There's a lot of pressure on you guys, and I
Yeah.
do generally hope you guys understand that hard work does pay off, and those old school terms that we may use as the old heads here, it is the truth, because you focus on one thing, you'll get there. There'll be ups, there'll be downs, but you're going to get there, and that success will be worth it in the end. And like I said, that whether it's the words of wisdom from myself, or for whoever you want to interpret it as, but generally, look at your goals, and you can make them. Excuse
Well,
me.
I appreciate you, boss man. Really appreciate your time and your words of wisdom. And this makes me feel good, just talking to all of the different people, man, and just hearing their stories. Everybody has a different background, which is very unique, and I feel like it could be very helpful. We spoke upon this, man. Again, man, I miss the family back home. So this is a great way for us to kind of stay in contact and be able to build that way. So thank you for you just being you, boss. Thank you for being like you said, genuine and candid and transparent. And again, giving your time, stepping away from your wonderful family. Um, Again, we're in the midst of a very interesting time. We got the pandemic, we got all kind of stuff going on. So each day is a blessing. So I just want to celebrate you and say I'm proud of you. And man, I just want you to just keep on keeping on, man. I'm looking forward to some great things. You if you need me, I'm always here. And again, to all of the subscribers, man, we're going to wrap this thing up. To all the subscribers out there or people who haven't, please make sure that you do subscribe, because we're going to be having much more of this beautiful content. So make sure that you click the bell so that you get the notifications when we're doing these types of things. And make sure you comment and like. If you have a question for Billy, just let me know. We'll make sure that we get that thing answered for you, and just keep building with one another. So again, man, I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to hearing from you offline as well, man. Make sure you give the family my love.
Likewise, T. Again, I appreciate you having me on, and love what you're doing down there, and I'm proud of you. I really am. I really am.
Same here, boss, man. Love you, man. Talk to you soon.
Love you, T.
All right,
Night.